You're about to witness the most brutal congressional takedown in American history. Nancy Pelosi thought she could humiliate FBI Director Kash Patel on live TV. She called him Trump's unqualified puppet in front of millions. His response, "Actually, Congresswoman, I brought your financial records today." What happened next made Watergate look like a parking ticket. The House Judiciary Committee hearing room was heavy with anticipation on that March morning. Nancy Pelosi entered with the practiced confidence of political royalty, her staff trailing behind like iron filings to a magnet. She had spent weeks preparing to execute the career of Kash Patel, intending to paint him as a partisan hack and force his resignation by the evening news. But Patel sat at the witness table with the unnatural stillness of a soldier. He wasn't alone. 6 FBI agents stood behind him, guarding 12 bankers' boxes sealed with evidence tape. This wasn't an oversight hearing anymore. It was the setup for a massive racketeering prosecution. Pelosi opened the session with a scathing attack. She called Patel unqualified, unprepared, and un-American, accusing him of turning the FBI into a personal Gestapo for Donald Trump. She reached for a thin, theatrical folder, claiming to have proof of his foreign entanglements. It was a classic Pelosi move, maximum public damage with minimum legal exposure. She demanded his immediate resignation to save the Bureau's reputation. Patel remained calm. He took a slow sip of water and looked directly at the woman who had ruled Washington for decades. "Are you finished, Congresswoman?" he asked softly. Then he reached for the first evidence box. The sound of the evidence tape ripping echoed like a gunshot. He withdrew a thick file labeled in blood-red letters. Pelosi, Nancy, Financial Crimes Investigation. The transformation in the room was molecular. Pelosi's face went ash-white as Patel began to read from the FBI's findings. He revealed that forensic accountants had traced $53.7 million transferred from foreign entities to Pelosi family businesses over 2 years. He presented a timeline showing that every time Pelosi attended a classified briefing on Taiwan or Chinese sanctions, massive wire transfers from firms like Sino-Pacific Holdings hit the Pelosi family trust within 24 hours. Then came the audio evidence. Patel played a FISA-authorized intercept from December 2023. The room heard Pelosi's unmistakable voice discussing delayed votes with a Chinese operative. "Tell Minister Zhang the committee needs more time," she said, before discussing compensation, via a Vancouver route to avoid scrutiny. Patel looked up and stated, "Asset Golden Gate. That is what Chinese intelligence calls you." The destruction continued with a 500-page report on insider trading. Patel revealed that Pelosi's husband, Paul, maintained a 94.3% success rate in the stock market, odds of 1 in 7 billion. He played recordings of Paul Pelosi calling his broker after Nancy's intelligence briefings, ordering him to buy defense stocks like Lockheed and Raytheon before missile tests, or to liquidate bank stocks before brutal stress tests were announced. It wasn't just luck, it was a criminal cartel dealing in stolen information. Patel then reached for the third box, which dealt with the tragedy of January 6th. He produced declassified internal communications showing that Pelosi had personally denied requests for National Guard backup and additional security. Most shocking were text messages from January 5th, where Pelosi told her staff, "We need the protesters to get close. The footage will be devastating for Trump." Patel played security footage from her office during the riot, showing her watching the violence with clinical satisfaction, even as officers like Brian Sicknick were being beaten. "You turn the Capitol into a killing field for political theater," Patel declared. The fourth box exposed the reality of sanctuary city policies. Patel showed how cartel money was laundered through Pelosi-affiliated nonprofits in San Francisco. Most devastating was the DHS human trafficking assessment. Over 8,000 unaccompanied minors had entered San Francisco and vanished from tracking systems. Patel played wiretaps of cartel lieutenants bragging that the Pelosi woman keeps the heat off, while they moved drugs north and children south. Finally, Patel opened a box draped in an American flag. This was the treason file. He revealed that 13 American service members died at Abbey Gate in Kabul because classified evacuation routes had been leaked from Pelosi's office to Iranian intelligence. He read the names of the fallen and showed evidence of leaks that resulted in the execution of 43 CIA assets in Syria. 217 American heroes are dead because you valued foreign bribes more than their lives, Patel said, his voice cracking. In a stunning turn, Nancy Pelosi's facade finally shattered. She began to speak without calculation, admitting that it started small, with real estate opportunities from dinner conversations. She justified 20 years of corruption as just the way Washington works, and claimed she didn't realize children were being trafficked. "I chose myself over everyone else," she whispered, her makeup ruined by tears. Patel requested immediate custody of Pelosi. Federal agents helped the former speaker to her feet as she sobbed. Outside the room, Washington descended into chaos. Within a week, 73 members of Congress were under investigation, and 17 had resigned. The Accountability Chamber became the new name for Hearing Room 2116. 6 months later, the trial concluded. Judge Martha Chen sentenced Pelosi to life without parole for treason, plus 4,000 years for the remaining counts. Her $200 million fortune was seized. Her son received 15 years, and her brother-in-law got 10. Kash Patel, later awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom, reminded the nation that public service is a sacred trust. Nancy Pelosi now sits in a concrete cell in Colorado, 23 hours, muitachko, day in solitary. On her wall, the phrase, "Sic semper pradatoribus," thus always to traitors, serves as her only companion. The swamp was finally drained, and the long process of rebuilding American democracy began, fueled by the truth that no one is above the law.